And the most important piece to the puzzle. Doink. Oh yeah. What up guys? Welcome back to the channel, man. Today is the big day when we finally get the Blazer back to assembled, put back together. I can stop worrying about freaking dust and bird shit getting inside of my engine. Goodbye. I've kept this thing pretty well covered up. You know, I probably should have cleaned this first before covering it up. I need to go through and clean these surfaces and everything, and yeah, I should have done that before assembly day, because then it would all be done right now, but I didn't. Anyhow, we got everything laid out up here. Got the heads fresh from the machine shop. I got the timing cover gasket kit. Came with water pump gaskets and everything. Some of these gaskets in here, I don't even know what the hell goes to. But I also got a cam plate, a new one of those, in which is nowhere near as flat as the one that came off the engine. I'm glad I did that. Came with new bolts. And here's our trays. As you guys know, well, if you didn't see in the last video, we ended up getting a trunnion upgrade. So I did all that last night, and I got them soaking in oil in here. So the trunnions are in here soaking in oil, and then our lifters are also in here soaking in oil. I'm gonna go ahead and leave those there until we are ready for them. God, the inside of that cabinet smells like oil now. Ain't that right, Tubby? We got head gaskets, head studs, of course, the cam. This is ARP hardware for the cam sprocket. Push rods that came with the kit are milling oil pump. This is the high pressure, not high flow. High pressure. And then timing kit, Chloe's timing kit. And bow, baby! This item I got off of Amazon. This is what I had to sign for to receive. It was a high priority item. They made you sign for it. Yeah, this is from ICT Billet, and it just has the drain backs for the turbo. So if we do end up going turbo, you know what I'm saying, we'll already be ready. And head studs, and then these guys right here from Evil Energy. I'm not even gonna open it right now. These are the block offs for the return bungs, so we can block those off until we are ready to use them. So first things first, I gotta go and find my assembly lubricant in there. We gotta lube this guy up and jab it in. After I clean all this. Damn it, I really should have had this done already. Boom! We got that sucker all cleaned up, and what you guys don't know is now I am 2 hours into my freaking day. I literally came out here thinking to myself I was gonna, you know, smear a bunch of lubricant all over a cam and start jabbing shit in right away, but no. Everything needs to be cleaned up, and it took freaking forever. But look at that. Dang thing looks brand new. I wish it was brand new, but it's not. But it looks brand new. So now what I'm gonna do is actually, you're gonna be real fucking mad, bro. When the Evil Energy Blazer whoops the shit out of that Fragole, Colorado, okay? You're gonna be real mad.
Well, look, you're gonna need to put a little bit more money into that thing.
A little more money? You see, you've got yourself confused, and you've also got the commenters confused. It ain't about money, dog. It ain't about money. It's just about doing it right, for one. And yes, this looks beautiful. It looks amazing. You're welcome for the paint, son of a bitch.
Only thing you did.
What? It wouldn't look like this if it wasn't for the paint.
I'm just saying.
It wouldn't look like this if it wasn't for the paint. No, you see, this would still be a rusty, black, scratched up frame with a bunch of mismatched, and you know, aluminum factory parts.
That ain't got nothing to do with me.
Yeah, you know, that's. I mean, everything is still exactly the same, minus you got a 4.9" back there. You know, it's the same as every other Colorado on the street. It's got some aluminum pipe on it.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Is that really how you do it? Right. Hey, go throw some Daytons on this thing.
I'm kidding. Some Daytons? On what? The Blazer?
The Blazer, man. That's how all the other ones are. That's the only difference you got.
No, man. I don't know about all that. But honestly, whenever you get this thing in the position it's in right now, everything that you got, if you were to throw it all on here right now, even with a turbo, I'm waxing your ass.
I really
on that suspension.
I really hope. I really hope.
I'm waxing your ass, bro. The Blazer's gonna be over here hooking and booking, and you're gonna be spinning and not winning. We're gonna cover the engine. Actually, I did. Because, you know what? For whatever reason, it is just windy as all hell today. I've been just constantly having to vacuum little leaves out of the cylinders. I'm trying to keep it clean in there. Anyhow, now we can move on with, you know, lubing up the rod. I mean, Cam. All right, let's see if I can get this thing lubed up and jabbed into the damn engine without getting leaves all over it. Waddy-doddy. Hey, should I do the whole thing, or do I just do the areas that sit on the bearing?
Put some gloves on and just freaking stroke the whole thing out.
The whole damn thing? You know Diddy it?
Kind of all Diddy.
All Diddy? I feel like I'm seasoning a shish kebab right now.
So you're looking at thing and thinking about putting it in your mouth? That's kind of what you did.
Shut the fuck up, Brandon.
Sorry, I know all these evil energy guys are all kind of gay.
Alright, my dudes, I am gonna glove up and I'm gonna, you know, rub the hell out of that thing. I'm gonna go ahead and switch the camera angle now because I'm not gonna be able to do so after. Of course, here comes all the damn wind, bro. Jesus Christ. Oh, it's official! It's official! The Blazers cammed!
It's always been cammed.
What? Shut your mouth. Next cam plate. In which this one actually came with its own hardware, which is kind of interesting because this is countersunk hardware and they're Allen wrench head bolts. So yeah, this is gonna sit like that, where the factory bolt look like this. I don't know, I mean, I'm gonna use what it is they supplied. It just makes sense. But what if I didn't want, I don't even think I can use the factory bolts now because the plate is, dude, the freaking wind, bro. The wind, oh my God. So I looked it up and it says if you have these countersunk Torx head bolts, then you put them to 11 foot-pounds. God, sometimes torque specs are scary. Sounds like that bolt is tight. Got our, whoa, wow, whoa, Jesus, our timing sprocket and chain. Dude, oh my God, dude. And we got some new hardware for the cam sprocket. I'm gonna pop that on there really quick. We gotta line our timing marks up and then pull it back off and put the chain on. Come on, get out of there. So I had the camera set up when I was putting my chain on and everything, and I was talking to you guys and talking you through what it is I was doing, and then I realized I wasn't even recording. So my bad on that. That's the reason why we just jumped to, you know, me torquing the damn thing. Anyhow, moving on is going to be probably the hardest part of this entire process. Is I'm going to try to get the new oil pump on. With, as you guys know, I removed my old oil pump with the oil pan there. So the pickup and all that, if you know, you know. It's a pain in the ass. So I'm going to attempt to get this in there without having to drop my oil pan. And if I can't, then we're going to have to figure something out. I'm either going to have to unbolt both engine mounts and then lift the whole engine up high enough we can get the oil pan off. Or I was thinking maybe unbolting the transmission cross member and then letting the transmission come back, whether maybe that will pivot the engine enough. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge if we have to. I'm hoping I can just get this in without having to do any of that. So this is the Melling Performance oil pump. It is a high volume, no, high pressure. I say that every time. They have a high pressure and they have a high volume. You don't want high volume on something like this because you'll be running your oil pan dry. From what I've heard, I don't know. I'm not speaking from experience here, but that's the part number. If you guys are interested, I got this from Speedway months ago. Oh, baby, they give you stickers. Hell yeah, that's what's up. Relief valve spring instructions. This oil pump is supplied with a high pressure relief spring. If a lower pressure is desired, remove the red spring and replace it with the enclosed blue spring. No, we want the red spring in there because we want high pressure. Okay. That's pretty cool though. So if you want it to be a standard oil pump, they supply the spring so you can switch it out, but they have the higher pressure spring installed in there already. Dude, there's a lot of stuff in here. What the heck is all this shit? What is this spring? There's more than one spring. What's happening? Attention. Did you know Melling manufactures water pumps for GMLS engines? Did you know? Well, now you do. All right, so I got this figured out. It comes with two different three springs. One spring is already installed. The blue spring is the weakest one. This is a 60 PSI spring. So that is basically like a stock oil pump. The spring that is in there is the red one that it came in there. You don't have to do anything if you want to leave the red spring. That is a 70 PSI spring. And then the black or gray spring right here, this one is 15 PSI higher than that. So this is an 85 PSI spring, in which we don't need that and we don't need this one. We're gonna leave the red in there that it actually came with. So I am going to actually try to just take the oil pump apart. I'm thinking if I get the gear out of the inside, I might be able to actually get this housing on and get it onto the pickup without having to try to key the gear in. And it'll give me a little bit more like slop in it, you know, that I need to actually get it to go on there correctly. I have no idea how I got the stock one off because it don't look like I'd be able to get this thing on at all with it together anyhow. I'm gonna see if this works, dude. Fingers crossed. So I recorded this portion with my phone because it's just a lot easier to get it down in there. But as you can see, I got the pickup tube into the oil pump housing. I also have the number 10 bolt in the position. I haven't gotten it started yet, but I'm holding it with a flathead screwdriver and the magnet, in which that's what I got to screw in with. Once I got the screw in a little bit further, I was able to actually reach it with this extremely small 10mm Craftsman wrench, which fun fact, I've owned that thing for like 20 years. But anyhow, this is it all complete. I actually got the oil pump in there and it's completely seated, as you can see, without taking the oil pan off. Yay. So they recommend that you spin the crank to I guess set the oil pump. I don't know. I'm just doing what it is they tell me to do. Alright, spin it once, and I'm going to tighten it to 10 foot-pounds. And then I'm going to spin it one more time. And now we're going to 18 foot-pounds. 16, 17. Alright, up next we're going to be installing our comp cam lifters. These are LS7 lifters. I don't freaking know. I knew all this stuff whenever I bought it. I forget by now. This stuff's been sitting around for so long. The lifters and our new trays. And it's going to be our last chance to see that cam down inside of there. You guys could probably see it better with some light. You can see all my assembly lube all over that thing. I was looking up on how exactly to install the lifters. I know that they have a hole on one side that I guess oil squirts out of. Some people recommend to point them forward. Some people recommend to point them back. I guess a lot of people don't even pay any attention to which way they point them. But I did see one person mention to just point them at one another. With each lifter, like this position will be pointing in, this position will be pointing out like this. And then they'll spray towards one another because the galley that the oil goes down is actually in the center. And I don't know, to me that seemed like that makes the most sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with that. I guess it's really self-preference. It's not like you're gonna mess anything up. All right, so our lifters just simply press into the trays, just like, there's a flat spot on the lifter and you can see the flat sides of the tray and they just pop in like that. Just like that, all 4 lifters on one tray, and this one's ready to slide in. Alright, so I guess these bolts are 106 inch-pounds, which comes out to around 9-something foot-pounds. So basically, tighten with your heart. Henry approved. Ain't that right, Henry? Alright, putting the ICT billet timing cover on. I got the front main seal pressed in there. I am going to go ahead and put these block offs on here right now because we are not going to need the oil drains quite yet. But we will need them in the future, more than likely. Maybe. Who knows? I might just freaking put nitrous on the Blazer and not ever turbo it. But if we do turbo it, we are ready for our drain. And speaking of Evil Energy, they give you guys a discount if you guys need anything. Make sure to check the link in the description down below. You gotta follow my link, man. And if you look in the description down below, there's also the promotional code. You guys can save 10% on anything on the website. And of course I say use my link because I am a part of their affiliate program. So whenever you guys actually purchase something using my link or my promotional code, it saves you guys money, but then they also kick me a little percentage, you know what I mean? So it's nice. It's not like I'm getting rich off of it or paying my mortgage or anything, but the more you guys buy from them, the more it helps what it is we do here, you know what I'm saying? All right, we're gonna start off. I got a little bit of acetone on a rag here and I'm just gonna clean the surface really good. I've already done this once, but we're just gonna skim over it one more time. What the hell? Yeah, I bet you did clean that surface really good. Because that's actually the old gasket on there still. What the fucking Jesus Christ. Oh my God, I am glad I inspected that. Goodbye.
Fucking baby.
Don't fucking babe me. Alright, disregard that last clip. Moving on, we are gonna clean this surface. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I was genuinely wondering why that area was raised. Like, I don't remember that area ever being raised like that. And sure enough. Alright, so since our oil pan is still on there, I am going to put a little dab of RTV right in the corners right here just to make sure we get a good seal. And yes, I'm using blue RTV. It's all we got right now. Braven went to the store to buy RTV and the boy got blue. Like, what the hell? Who ever buys blue? Alright, now we got our new gasket. Thankfully, we're not double stacking gaskets right now. That would suck, huh? Alright, gotta find my bolt. Found my bolts. I'll be right back. I gotta clean my bolts. Alright, so I held this thing to the torch. I don't have the tool to put it on, so I held it to the torch and got it really hot. Before doing so, it wouldn't even slide onto the crank even a little bit. Now that I held it to the torch, got it hot, it just kind of slides right over. But now I'm trying to let it kind of cool off a little bit because I don't want it to melt my gasket, you know? I wanted to get back down to a normal temperature that maybe the engine could possibly be running at, you know? Like something that's not gonna melt the gasket. That's what I'm hoping for. Hit with a little double D. Still don't reach. Still don't reach. Oh my god. Oh my god. Give it back. I won't even give it back now. Fuck. This is what happens when you're not prepared. And my battery's dead. It's just one of those days. Should've never woke up. Everything's fucked. Everybody sucks. Oh yeah. Yep. That should be enough. Yeah. Yep. Oh wow. Would you look at that sucking in there? Jesus. I think that's it. So I ran down to a buddy's house and borrowed his tools. Huge shout out to Antonio for the crank pulley, cam pulley installation. No, I was right the first time. Crank pulley installation tool. What the hell? Anytime I say pulley, I want to say puller because, you know, pulley puller. But this is a pulley pusher. Pulley pusher. We are slapping the heads back on next. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and clean the dowels up a little bit because they're all filthy. And we're going to go over the surface on the block one more time just to make sure it's all clean and oil free because I kind of dumped oil all over this thing yesterday. We're gonna go ahead and put our dowels into the block. There we go. I was gonna say I might need to go and get some channel locks in order to squeeze them a little bit. Yep, this one I'm probably gonna have to do that. Okay, it's in there partially. I am gonna have to grab some channel locks and get that one in there all the way. Alright, little love tappies. Genuine GM head gaskets. Very nice. Alright, we are going to be hitting our head gaskets with the good old copper spray. Now, if you have a can of this stuff, like most people, you have this can sitting around for a really long time, right? You have to shake the absolute... There went my cap. You have to shake the absolute shit out of this stuff. I could not get this thing to spray at first. Even after shaking it, I mean vigorously shaking it, it still was just kind of sputtering out. You gotta heat it up. Get the can pressure up. You warm the can like this for a moment, and then you can feel the warmth on the can. And then you shake it, you feel that warmth go away because it's being absorbed by the paint inside. Do that a few times, and you are spraying, baby. You motherfucker. Oh, man. And of course, in extreme situations, and maybe you've had this can sitting around for a really long time, well, these are taking forever to dry, and I still need to do the other side, so I would rather be waiting for both sides to dry rather than waiting for one side to dry, you know? I ain't got all frickin' day. Put this stick underneath my piece of metal if it stopped trying to roll away. Ta-da! Okay, if I'm being 100% honest, if you have a can of this stuff that's been sitting around for a long time, throw it the hell away and just get yourselves a new can. Save yourself the hassle, bro. I just, you know, like I'm trying to get done here and I don't want to break off and go to the damn store. So I'm doing what it is I gotta do to make this damn thing work. But good Lord, this has been a pain in the ass. Alright, so the small head studs I screwed in before sliding the heads on because they do not have the Allen wrench in the end. It would have been really difficult sitting there trying to screw these tiny little guys in. So got all those screwed in with the head gaskets, and it just made it so much easier to actually align the head and get it to just lay down in place in just one swipe, you know? You don't really want to be like moving them around and stuff, especially with that copper spray on there. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and go through, and I gotta screw all the rest of the head studs in. I'm gonna start off by hand, and then I'm gonna look up and see if there's something I should be torquing these to. I would assume just to make it even if there's not a torque spec, just grab I'm gonna grab the torque wrench and maybe just do them all to like 10 or something, you know? Just so that they're all evenly screwed in. And I almost forgot, dude. I'm gonna do something really quick that's gonna make our lives a lot easier. The washer and the nuts that you use on these head studs, I'm gonna go ahead and slide the washer on, and then I'm gonna put the nut on until it is just barely sitting flush with that. Now give me enough space that we can actually screw the head studs in without applying pressure on the head of the nut. But then I won't have to come back and be sitting there trying to fight to get the washer and the nut on all of the damn head studs. Just gonna make it a whole lot easier for us in the long run. You just wanna screw it on a couple of threads because you wanna make sure that you're not applying pressure on the nut while you're trying to screw the stud in. So I wasn't sure, but I have now confirmed after doing the first head, you can actually screw this nut on until it's flush with the top of the stud. You don't have to just do a couple of threads. You can actually put it flush. There's plenty of space to screw that on there. And then you won't have to deal with the nuts trying to fall off like I was dealing with. Just go ahead and screw it on until it's flush with the top of the stud there. And you have plenty of space to get the stud screwed in. Now, I didn't do a torque spec. I just went through and snugged them all up. Because honestly, I set my torque wrench to 10 foot-pounds. And it felt a little extreme. So I backed off a little bit. I just went through with a ratchet and just gave it a little oomph, you know, on each one so that they're good and snug in there. I'm sure that's fine, dude. I didn't even bother to look it up, but I do need to look up the torque specs and sequence on the heads because I don't know that off the top of my head. And now we have the nuts and washers for the itty bitty tiny little baby bolts. Gotta go and actually put these ones on by hand and hopefully not drop any of them in the head, but it's fine. All the valves are shut if it does happen, but you know, it's still one of those things you think about. Alright, so I'm looking up the torque specs on these head studs, and I guess it varies depending on what lubricant that you use on top of the washer. So they say if you use motor oil, is what I'm going to use, is motor oil, because I don't have any Molly lube. Motor oil, you want to do it 30, 60, and then 80 foot-pounds. But if you have the Molly lube, then it was like 22, 50, and then 70 foot-pounds. So I would assume that the Molly lube is just a better lubricant. So there is less resistance because of the lubricant. It allows it to slide a little easier, so your torque spec is going to be lower. It's pretty crucial. So as you guys know, I already have the nuts and the washers and everything on there, but I'm gonna get down in there and actually put some oil on top of the washers with a Q-tip. It's gonna be kind of a pain in the ass. I honestly completely forgot about this. So I also already have all the nuts like snug by hand. So I'm gonna go through, back them all off a hair. I'm gonna do one head at a time, and then use a Q-tip and get the oil down in there, and just make sure to get a good amount of oil on top of the washer, and then snug it back down, and then we'll go through our torque sequence. It's just gonna, I'm gonna do the 30, 60, 80. Anyhow, you start from the center and you work your way out. So we're gonna go 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the sequence, man. 30, 60, 80. Let's get it. Oh, and these small bolts you torque after you do all of the main studs. These studs we're gonna torque after, and I gotta look it up again. I think those are something like 22 foot-pounds, but let's get into it. To start off, I'm gonna go through, back all the heads off a little bit. Now I'm gonna take my oil and a Q-tip, get the top of the washer saturated with oil. Got my torque wrench set to the 30 foot-pounds, which is our first pass. I'm gonna go through and snug all these up really quick by hand again. All right, now do our 30 foot-pound pass. Now 60. All right, last one, 80 foot-pounds. All right, now the 5 tiny guys, I went and checked once again. It is 22 foot-pounds. I have a smaller 3/8 inch drive torque wrench that I'm going to use for that. I got it set to 22. All right, now that head is done, and we got one more left to go. Yay. Hell yeah. 30. 60. 80. Holy freaking shit, dude. This thing is starting to come together and it looks really nice. I love how everything's all clean and fresh. It's a really good feeling. But anyhow, I'm going to have to end that here. That's all the time that I have for this video. Unfortunately, I do need to still put the push rods and the rocker arms and everything in. But we're going to do that next time because I need to address a few things before I get going too much further. And like for one, the windshield wipers, they don't work. The wiring's all screwed up on it. Like, believe me, I want to have windshield wipers on here, but at this point it seems like it's kind of in the way of my intake, for one, and for two, they don't work, and for three, like, it would just make it look a lot cleaner without this ginormous thing right here. So I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to take that off. I also need to go through my wiring and do some organizing before I get the intake manifold and everything on. And I need to go back and watch my own video. So when we originally put the Holley in here, there was a checklist of things that I needed to get for the Blazer to make things work more properly. For one, an oil pressure switch. The oil pressure sensor right here that was on my engine whenever we were installing the Holley, it has the wrong plug. I need to get the correct one. I think the other things that I needed to get was the intake air temperature sensor, because we no longer use the 5-pin setup. You know, that sensor that's actually on the intake over here? This guy. I can't even think of what it's called right now. Mass airflow sensor. So the mass airflow sensor, and it's also got the intake air temperature sensor all built into this. So with the Holley, we no longer use that, but we do have a plug for intake air temperature. I want to figure out what sensor I have to get for that, and then oil pressure, intake air temperature, and then fuel pressure. I would really like to add a fuel pressure sensor onto this. And like I said, I need to go through the wiring. I need to try to get this stuff routed a little bit more clean. I do not want all that cluttered on top of my intake manifold. So look, man, I know we are this freaking close to the engine being done, but just so you understand, even if I was to intake manifold, rocker arms, push rods, all that stuff right now, the fuel system still isn't done. I still got to put the other fuel pump, run wiring for it. I got to finish the fuel cell, run all new AN lines. We have a lot to do on this thing. So like I said, man, I'm going to end it there for today, but we're going to pick right back up on this thing tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this one. Peace, and I'll see you then.